Hi everyone, this is Elena Kraus and welcome to another card video. In this video we're using the new Hero Arts Beach HeroScape stamp set along with the MISTI tool to do the layering stamping. So let's get started. This is 6x8 set Beach HeroScapes and it's inspired by Australia. We have the Three Sisters, the rock formation there as well. You can stamp them separate or you can stamp them as in the formation. So we are giving you an option as well. It comes with coordinating dies, so we're going to use both here. So what I'm doing first, I'm stamping that the ocean, the beach. So I'm going to stamp with reactive inks. I'll be using the Pool Party and Blue Raspberry. So let's get started. I have a panel here of Dove white cardstock. I'm positioning that on the left side towards the bottom. We're gonna die cut this one, but as well you can use it as a standalone if you want to mask that beach and then ink blend around it or just leave it white as you please. So I'm using I kind of sped up here because I'm making multiples for future use. So I'm stamping that first layer with Pool Party and I'm doing a few of them. Since I have everything positioned in my MISTI, I said why not, and I tend to kind of stamp multiple pieces at once since I'm using my MISTI tool. Again, we're going on the third one. And you can use any colors of your choice if you want, like darker beach water, ocean water, you can use darker. Or if you want to use even more darker, you can do that for a nice scene. And you can even go with purples like navy and purples for a night scene. So for the second layer, I'm using the blue raspberry. This is, again, reactive ink. It's darker than the Pool Party. Again, I'm stamping everything together. I'm stamping a couple times to have nice and solid impression. I'm just gonna quickly clean up my stamp, and next we're gonna go and stamp the rock formations. I'm stamping those first layers in soft brown. And again, the same thing that I did for the beach, for the water, I'm doing with the rock formations. I'm stamping them several times onto Dove white cardstock. So I'm stamping twice to get a nice impression. Before I go stamp the second layer, I'm gonna quickly heat set this one because we stamped a couple times. I wanted to have the ink dry completely before I go with the Capo Joe shadow ink because I wanted to have nice and crisp lines between the layers so they're not bleeding into each other. And we're gonna repeat. I positioned the second layer into my MISTI. Now we're stamping that onto our first layer images. So I think we have all the elements that are the color layering ones. And I'm gonna snip out my dies. I'm using this stamp set for the first time. I'm gonna line up, secure them with some purple tape, and then run them through my die cutting machine. So I secured the die for the beach, and I'm doing the same for the rock formations, the Three Sisters. So by magic of YouTube, I have everything ready. So everything is die cut here. Next, I'm pulling another piece of white cardstock, and like my little craft mat, I'm using soft brown and Capo Joe to do some ink blending. I'm just gonna ink blend on the bottom side, like the bottom half, where that water die cut is covering, because we're gonna trim off the top side. So I did on one side with the Capo Joe, and on the other side I'm going with the soft brown. So we have nice variation of that brown scent like ink blending. I'm using here the Ergonomic blending brushes for a quicker application of the ink and covering a large surface. And then I'm going to use, for the sky in a moment, I'm going to use the life-changing blending brushes where we're covering a smaller area. So I'm just trimming everything to be 4 inches wide, because we're going to create 4 by 5¼ inch panel and then mount it onto a top folding note card. So next I'm pulling 2 more images, like the lady on the beach towel and umbrella and the lady carrying the surfboard. I will stamp those with black Intens-ified ink and then die cut them. Also, I pulled out another image with the parachute or parasailor that we're going to stamp directly on the panel where we're going to do the sky area. So I'm stamping those images a couple times here. I'm just pulling another piece of cardstock, I'll stamp it and then die cut it. So here are my dies. I will secure those using some purple tape. You can use any repositionable tape you like. And by magic of YouTube, they're already die cut. In the meantime, also, I used some masking paper and I die cut a circle and I saved the negative to do some ink blending on the sky. So I'm marking up where that sun comes through so I can position where I want my sun to be. So we're not looking at the whole sun, we are just looking at half of the sun. So that way I can make sure that half goes underneath that layer and half goes, it's visible. So I'm using butter bar and dark quartz to ink blend the sun. So I position the negative of the masking paper and then I'm ink blending inside that circle. So started with butter bar and then going with dark quartz around the edges of the sun and back with butter bar, and I'm using the life-changing ink blending brushes. I'm going to remove the mask. Next I'm going to put the circle mask and we're going to do some ink blending on the sky using Summer Sky hybrid ink pad from HeroScapes. So I'm just cleaning my craft mat. Then I'm going very lightly with that Summer Sky ink pad. I did a different background first and I think I applied way too much ink. You can see it on the left side on the background, how dark that blue is. So I want it to be a little bit lighter. So I'm just redoing this panel. So I think that looks good. It's lighter than the one that you see on the left side. We're going to trim it down to 4 by 5¼ and then trim a little bit off the edge of that beach layered piece. So we have a little bit more space for the sand and the little shells we're stamping now. I'm stamping using embossing and watermark ink. And I'm going to apply sand embossing powder. So you can see the sand embossing powder, it adds a little bit of texture. Not much, but just a little bit. And then I decided to swipe that ink pad on the bottom of my panel, the ink blended panel, to add a little bit more texture for the sand. So that looks good. I just wanted to add a little bit more of that sand embossing powder. So directly with the ink pad, I apply the ink onto the panel, apply the embossing powder and heat set it. Now we can start assembling. So I'm using some adhesive to adhere that sand panel onto the sky ink blending piece, and then I'm adhering the colored layered beach on top. I'm going to position the images where I want to be, and then the rock formation I'm just trimming a little bit off the bottom. So we have nice transition between the water and the rocks. And then I'll adhere those. Again, I'm positioning the images where I want them to be, and we're going to stamp the parasailor, the birds, and the sentiment. I changed it from thinking of you to hello. Again, I'm using my MISTI so I can stamp all 3 at once and make sure that the coverage, the ink coverage is nice and everything is stamped straight. So again, I'm using the HeroScapes Intens-ified black ink. I'm stamping a couple times. I'm just cleaning my stamps, putting them away and putting the MISTI away. And now we can start assembling the card. I'm using some thin foam adhesive to adhere the images onto the card. The surfer close to the water, and then the lady on the beach a little bit further away from the water. She's not almost in the water. So I'm using some liquid adhesive to add on the back, and then I'm adding a piece of fun foam and adhering to a top folding note card to finish this card. So here's a little close-up. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you get notifications when I post more videos, and also visit my blog for more ideas and inspirations. Thanks for watching. Bye!